There we go. Hopefully y'all can hear me. That's what I get for trying to kind of do things last minute, but we're here for whomever wants to join as we talk about good old Potomac. Before we get to the reunion, there are some things we have got to talk about. I definitely want to talk about the majority of the season, especially from where I left off on my regular reviews. I think I did like episodes 5 and 6. I like uploaded video, get on here and talk about some things. Hopefully some people will join. I know I had to get on Twitter and tweet about going live. And then I plan on going live again to discuss Miami, because there's a lot going on with that too. This is my hair stick out, and I'm about to take these off because I can't deal with the reflect. But yeah, y'all, this is a live about Potomac, and it's been a while since I've done a live, so it's always exciting doing these after so long. But in the meantime, J to the B, giving all the tea, add a little bit of messy, and I swear that's me. You better kick back, relax, because this is a date. Also, like, subscribe, and comment, because this ain't clickbait. Yeah, rap, too. I'm waiting for some people to hop in. So we can get this discussion started. I am about to start in a little bit. Just want to eat some grapes, get my thoughts together. Because I think we're going to start off with the whole Miami trip earlier in the season, because that's where I left off on my regular recaps of the season. Before I fell off, we were discussing Miami and how Mia is just a terrible hostess. She's also a terrible friend when it comes to hosting friends. Like, I just need her not to ever host another event like this, another trip, cash trip at that, because she couldn't handle it. I hope y'all don't mind this live taking place in my closet. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get it, and then whoever decides to join the conversation can do that, because y'all know I don't too much mind talking to myself. So, the Miami trip, which is where we left off. So, I think we are getting into this dinner that first night. Mind you, Candace is not here yet. So, this whole dinner really just proves to us how sick these women are, and how from the get-go they planned on Ice and Wendy out. Because no way we're tripping out over Peter, of all people, when the lot of y'all are married. Or I should say this, between Wendy and Mia, the both of y'all are married. Peter is not married, but Peter is also somebody that is messy, as he facilitated the mess here. And for us to have not seen him in so long, but he brings his ass onto Potomac as far as where they're filming. He brings his ass there and begins to facilitate some mess between two cast members that already, at this point especially, are back and forth with one another. How do y'all allow Peter, of all people, to orchestrate the bullshit that was orchestrated during this dinner? How's that happen? In addition, how are we getting so upset about what one individual brings to the table and where we stand in any type of industry, whether we're a CEO, CFO, a professor, things of that nature? Why is it becoming about that to the point where it leads to violence? Because that's basically what happened during this first dinner. It resulted into some violence. Sorry, the camera's kind of moving. I'm just picking off grapes to eat. It resulted, excuse me, it resulted into violence. And with that being said, how is the violent individual not removed? As far as I'm concerned, Mia left after the fact on her own accord. She was not removed. And next to that, she was able to withhold her champagne flute. So that doesn't even get revoked. Mind you, she was very invasive, first by throwing a drink in Wendy's face, and then two, by hitting her with a purse. Whether it connected or not, the attempt was there regardless. The intent was there to, make Wendy feel uncomfortable, if not hurt Wendy, because she was so triggered by a few comments being made. And let's move over to the Green Eye Bandits, who can sit there and push the narrative of which individual was more aggressive than the other, which I don't know how anyone using their words is more aggressive than the one that is, inciting physical violence. How does that make sense, y'all? Next to feeling like, oh, it's not that big of a deal that Mia has put her hands, whether they were her physical hands or objects she's put her hands on to use against Wendy. It's still violence at the end of the day, regardless. But how is it, this isn't that big of a deal? But when Monique decided to put her hands on a cast member, you know, um, it was a big deal. And Monique needed to get off the show. And we're not going to film with Monique. What is the difference here? JB's friends, whomever is watching this live after the fact, or whoever joins the live and is, discussing this with me. Like, how does that make sense? And I see why Wendy made the comment of, this is awfully hypocritical of, she was telling Giselle this. It's awfully hypocritical of you, Giselle, to feel like this isn't a big deal. But when Monique did this to Candace, essentially put her hands on Candace and made her uncomfortable, inciting violence, it was a big deal and she needed to get off the fucking show. Now, Wendy, I will tell you this. I'm in complete agreement with you as far as that, but you two were involved in the icing out of Monique during that situation. So it's awfully funny that now that this has been done to you, it's a bigger deal to put out there that the hypocrisy is, the Green Eye Bandits pick and choose who they want to ice out. As right as you are about that, we still have to take a look at you two were involved in the icing out of Monique. So it's funny that it's now an even bigger deal that it's all being done to you. But, ma'am, how did you not see that happening? How did you not see them turning on you? You being a darker complected woman that is a part of this cast, you had to have known that eventually they were gonna set their sights on you. More so because you are a darker complected woman. I mean, let's be real here. The colorism runs deep on this particular franchise. Despite how many of y'all disagree with that sentiment, the proof is in the pudding. Colorism is very much a thing when it comes to the show. It runs rampant. So y'all might not like that I'm saying that, but at the same time, this is my channel, this is my life. I feel how I feel. I'm going to say what I want to say. And it just is what it is. You don't have to be a part of this live if that's how you feel. Like you feel in disagreement. Because we can agree to disagree with that sentiment. Colorism is very much a thing when it comes to the Real Housewives of Potomac. Let's just call a thing a motherfucking thing. But y'all, I felt sick watching what took place down in Miami, which further solidified how I felt about Mia. And I just feel like Mia shouldn't be a part of this cast next season. The fact that she continued to film with no reprimanding is just crazy to me. Because I want to say there have been housewives that have done less and have been demoted. I mean, way less. But here we are, inciting violence yet again, very much intentionally, and you still get to film as a full-time housewife. It just doesn't make any sense to me, JBs. But that's how we started off this whole Miami trip. Now, eventually, because I'm going to be kind of hopping around because it's been so long since we've discussed this part of the season that I'd rather just get closer to where we are now in the season. Because, the reunion comes on next Sunday. It didn't come on this past Sunday because of the Super Bowl. But it'll be coming on next Sunday. So we'll begin to see how that plays out. But I felt inclined to just talk about some of the things I'm more so having an issue with and what I've had an issue with this entire season. If I'm going to be honest, I don't feel like this has been Potomac's best. I don't think this was that good of a season. It wasn't the worst. but it certainly wasn't the best either. And part of it comes from situations like the one that occurred in Miami and how they like to treat certain women. So we get into just this icing out of Wendy. And at this point, Candace is on a trip. And, Mia finds it upon herself to try to kick out both Candace and even Ashley because they're wanting to check up on Wendy. Wendy essentially stayed in the hotel for the remainder of the trip. And it became very apparent who was on whose side. You basically got the green eye bandits, Mia and Jacqueline, up against Wendy, Candace, Ashley, and Karen. And at one point, Karen gets confronted because she didn't have Mia's back during the whole situation. Mia felt some type of way because Karen wasn't up her ass when Wendy was apparently talking about G. And it's just like, when did she talk about G? Oh, when she brought up the fact that maybe you and G have slept with Peter and whoever he's with? Allegedly? When was it, Mia? Like, I'm in confusion. But it's ridiculous that grown women can't handle other grown women hanging out or talking to other grown women. It's a problem because now that you have this huge issue with Wendy, you don't really want anybody on the trip dealing with Wendy. And it's just like, okay, so we're going back to preschool because this is how preschoolers act. Oh, that's not my friend. And since you're my friend, you can't be friends with her. Oh, okay. That's what we're doing? It makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But go off, sis, if that's how you really feel. So we got all that. And we can just assume that this is going to be the majority of the trip. Now, towards the end, we get into this live that Candace had where she was, in my opinion, being very vague with who she was talking about directly. She wasn't that direct with who she was talking about. And good old Robin decides she wants to confront Candace about this live in front of the entire group versus, speaking with Candace individually, kind of on the side. She decides she wants to be lame as hell and play the recording of the live in front of the group. And, essentially try to embarrass Candace, for one, about who she was talking about. She wants to imply that she had to have been talking about everyone, including her. And it's just like, Robin, you really had time. So you not only keep speaking out of turn about who's the aggressor in any situation, but you always felt like, well, you feel like it's important to call this woman out on just her just speaking vaguely about where she stands in this group and who's real and who's not real. But you and her are supposed to be tight, yet you felt like it was more important to call her out versus confronting her individually. and off to the side, not in the group. And I seem to recall many times where Candace has felt like she would much rather talk about her gripes and her grievances and her issues with specific women on the side versus within the group. I mean, we can even go back to the whole Monique situation. I'm pretty certain she wanted to talk to Monique about her issues on the side. No, it wasn't Monique, it was Ashley. She wanted to talk to Ashley on the side versus in the group. But women like you, Robin, for whatever reason, can't get it through their very effed up brains that when somebody says this, they mean it. You still gotta go out of your way to call somebody out amongst the group. And for what? For what, bitch? But I'm not going to give Robin too much yet because, oh, it gets even better when it comes to Robin. And given the most current events, yeah. Let's just say I'm not here for Robin. As if I wasn't here for her already. Oh, I'm really not here for her today. But she feels like Candace was speaking on all the women in the group. And then Ashley, at one point or another, pipes in and she decides that she is going to further double down on Candace, speaking on the different women in the group. And so she brings up the conversation they had earlier in the season about Karen and how apparently Karen is seen going off with some man that isn't Ray and all that. And Candace did say that. She did. I just think in this situation, she didn't remember that she said it. And the context behind it wasn't what Ashley thought. Ashley likes to think that Candace is a bad friend. So she further doubled down on what Candace said, but Candace wants to reassure to us that, the context that she stated all of that about Karen in was not what we think. And I just think for next time, Candace, don't get around Ashley and speak on how you feel about anyone because Ashley clearly cannot be trusted. And why you don't know this already, I don't know, but I just think that is some internal conflict Candace has specifically with Ashley. It's weird between those two. I don't get it. But Karen was upset about it. I mean, rightfully so, because she knows that her and Candace are working on their relationship. And that does make you second guess why you're working on your relationship with somebody. If you can't even trust that they will keep their mouth shut with enemy number one. Not saying that Ashley is so much an enemy to Karen anymore, but Ashley and Candace are friends, yet they keep on trying to act like they're working on a friendship with each other. Like I said, it's weird between those two. I don't get it. But, Karen was upset, but her and Candace do eventually make up in regards to that. Karen just wants to keep her good eye on Candace. But I just look at it like, yeah, Candace, you fucked up with that one. Hopefully you don't find yourself in other situations like that, especially when it has anything to do with good old Stewie Darby. But I don't know. So I think we ended up wrapping up the Miami trip with Robin and Candace getting into it because of how Robin called her out in front of the group. And Robin's this, Robin's that, you're a fake ass bitch, you're not a real friend. I thought you were a real friend. Out of all these women, I thought I could trust you the most. Oh, did you now? See what happens when you think? I love Candace down. Candace is one of my favorites when it comes to Potomac. She gives these women a run for their money. She is the shade assassin when it comes to the specific reads. But one thing I struggle with when it comes to liking Candace is how gullible she is when it comes to the Green Eye Bandits. I don't know why still to this day she believes that they're her friends when the only friends Giselle and Robin have are each other. Their loyalty lies with each other, no one else. So even though it may look like Mia is, you know, in with the clique, and we can even use Ashley there. I mean, Ashley has more allegiance to them as they do her than Mia, but it's exactly what I just said. Robin and Giselle are each other's friends, and they're friends only. So I don't know why Candace, of all people, still feels like, you know, those are her friends. But I think that's a personal struggle she has. And I can say the same about Wendy. Wendy, you see it more with Robin. Because at one point, Wendy and Robin were really tight. So it's unfortunate that they're in this place now. But even for Wendy, like, girl, you have to know that the Green Eye Bandits are no one's friend. But we'll talk more about friendships when it comes to the Potomac ladies. We will definitely get more into that. But that's kind of how we left off the Miami trip. I'm seeing if there are any more little side things. There are. Let's talk about this whole Deborah situation, or Deborah, as some of y'all call her. She is the Sesame Street character that Ashley has brought around the group. If Weirdo was a person, it would be good old Deborah. She fits that term to the T, especially in reference to this whole Chris situation. Ashley has literally set up this woman to embarrass herself when it comes to this Chris situation, because the fact that every time she brings up the Chris thing and the cameras play back and it basically refutes and diffuses the entire idea about Chris looking at her at Karen's spring fling, is enough to give even the most embarrassing people secondhand embarrassment. I don't even understand how this woman still to this day has a platform when she day in and day out embarrasses herself simply because of this situation. And I am so happy production plays those same clips every time, because it's like, yes, get on that bitch's neck, because who does this as a married woman herself? How does your husband sleep next to you at night knowing you got on a reality show and embarrass not just herself but the both of y'all within this marriage y'all had. I mean, I almost question what that's even like, if that's even a marriage. Y'all's institution of marriage, like it's it's questionable. Excuse me. It's very much questionable. And it's because of women like Deborah that get on there and try to blast a man for cheating on his wife when he's not done none of those things. So, again, Ashley, you're setting this woman up to fail, but at the end of the day, she's a grown woman. She can make her own grown ass decisions. Ashley's not telling her she needs to do X, Y, and Z on this show. Deborah is choosing to do it. And I'm even happier that Candace pays her complete dust. I mean, there's only been one situation where the two of them were in the same room, and I'm happy that Candace, you know, didn't take the bait. Deborah wanted to talk to her, and Candace was like, no, I'm good. There's nothing we need to talk about. I trust my man. Do you trust yours? What's your man doing? Because the fact that you're out here embarrassing him, too, I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing something out on you. Because it makes no sense to me. So, I don't even understand why production is even entertaining the Sesame Street character. Shout out to Candace for even coming up with that concept when it comes to Deborah, Ashley's weird looking friend. Sorry, it is what it is. She's a weird looking woman. She has hard ass features. And she wants to walk around Potomac acting like she's eye candy. For who, bitch? Who? Who is looking for a Deborah? Like, get fucking real. But what was it? Because of ratings that they wanted to include her? And my thing is this: why is this bitch on social media basically fronting the fact that she was on Potomac? Like, literally has hashtag RHOP in her bio on Instagram. Like, she is a full-fledged cast member when you're barely even that, bitch. Like, I'm gonna need for you to take that off of your bio because you're an embarrassment to the show. And at this point, to the fucking franchise. Like, why are we giving women like this a platform? Is it just because your main ladies just brought nothing else? And we'll definitely we'll talk about what specific women bring, to the show. But I just had to talk about that because I know that was something that came up after the Miami trip. It kind of led us into, our next cast trip, which was in Mexico. Before I get there, I did want to talk about Deborah. Uh, I don't know if I want to necessarily talk about the little events that the Green Eye Bandits had for Reasonably Shady, and then Karen's show that she had that was actually where Deborah wanted to speak to Candace. I won't spend any time talking about those. Those were just filler items to get us to the next part, excuse me, part of the season, which is the Mexico trip and our Mia and Jacqueline fallout. So I guess we can transition to that. Still, there's nobody in the live, which is perfectly fine because I will keep it moving. And if somebody decides to hop on, They can definitely do that. Um, Again, we're talking about Potomac. Now we are on the Mexico trip, where we begin to see the initial fallout between Mia and Jacqueline. So, with that, y'all, it really started from a dumb place. If we're going to be real, at the end of the day, side more with Jacqueline, but at the end of the day, I can't really side with any of them because the whole premise is dumb. Like, y'all are literally just airing out each other's business to be seen on the show. And it's pretty sad. Mia, I don't understand why you felt like you had to stoop that low when you're already on the show. You're a full time housewife. Jacqueline's not a housewife. So I don't even know why it was so necessary for you to even add more where it wasn't even needed. Now, Jacqueline, we see what you're trying to do, but lucky for you, I don't see it for Mia as it is. So Mia could have been completely right, but because I don't like her character, because she portrays a character on the show, she's a liar. So she's a lying ass character that holds no water when it comes to the truth. So naturally, I am going to gravitate a little bit more to the one that I feel is telling the truth. I mean, granted, all the stuff when it comes to Mia and Jacqueline is alleged, but Mia doesn't have a good track record. So it's unfortunate that a plus year friendship tanked because if we're gonna be real, one's ego, I feel like Mia feels like she's made it in the world by being on this show when I feel like it's really a slippery slope for any of these women coming on to the show because, if you're not bringing much that impress fans and is entertaining, it doesn't matter how long you've been on a show, and it doesn't even matter if you're on a life. And why you would want to do that is crazy to me because you women are pushing your 40s and 50s, if not already in your 40s and 50s. So, what is this pipe dream of wanting to be on this type of show? When y'all also get on this type of show and claim you got this amount of money and you got these businesses and stuff. Mia, I'm talking about you. I'm looking at you right now. If you were actually in front of me, yes, I would be staring you down as I say that because you are that bitch that acts like by you being on the show, you have made it in life. And you further flaunt this idea of your businesses when today we're learning that many of your businesses are going down. And you didn't have to move out of your home that you was flaunting playing this season. So make it make sense, bitch. What are we doing? I don't know. But her and Jacqueline, I don't know how to really feel about it now. I think because it's just been so long since this all started too that I'm no longer as invested. And I the same about the whole Sharice and Karen thing. I think entering the season, I was anticipating what would come with these specific beefs. Because going into it, I wanted to know what was the catalyst that ignited the Mia and Jacqueline feud. And then I definitely wanted to learn more about why Karen and Charisse are continuously feuding. And boy, did that really fizzle out in a hurry, because now I can't say that I'm as invested in either one of these specific beefs. And more so with the Karen and Charisse thing, because I just feel like Charisse just exudes desperation. She's not even that entertaining by herself. So I don't really know why she was even originally casted. Sure, she may have been the one that got the original Potomac ladies together and, helped push the show forward. But by herself, she's not entertaining at all. Anytime you see her, she looks out of it. She looks dazed, tired. And no one wants to see that. I certainly don't. None of my mutuals on social media want to see that. Anyone that I talk to about the show that watches the show like I do want to see a Charisse. And the fact that it's this whole idea of who's the Queen of Potomac, really, bitches? The Queen of Potomac? This is what we're talking about now. Who's the Queen of Potomac? I don't understand why it always has to be these titles granted to who feels like they're deserving of them. I think it's looking borderline delusional, if not already delusional, that you have to walk around and state what title you hold in a town that before the show even aired, I hadn't even heard about. I didn't even know where Potomac was before the show. So now we're going around acting like we're queens of Potomac? Really? Sounds like y'all are queens of desperation and tired storylines. These are just some of the few things I take issue with when it comes to this particular season of Potomac, and how just the hype for me quickly fizzled, because the fact that we're having yet another dinner table scene talking about who between Karen and Charisse is the Queen of Potomac, like, I can't make this up to y'all. Like, it's just crazy that this is even a conversation and it's not entertaining. And literally, my thought process was, this is what we're talking about? We're making a scene out of who holds the better title? Hmm. I don't know. But once again, we have the Green Eye Bandits jumping into a situation that has nothing to do with them. Y'all are that pressed over Karen not giving Charisse the time of day that we are now calling Karen out on being a certain type of way. And at the end of the day, Charisse is more deserving of any title when it comes to Potomac. She hasn't even been on the show like that to even get a title. Karen has been more consistent. Therefore, if anybody is going to get a title, it should be Karen, because Karen exudes this persona that is deserving of a title like that. Karen is very animated. She can be very extra too. So, yeah, the Grand Dame is deserving, if we're going to be fucking real. But again, JB's, even having a conversation about who is more deserving of a Grand Dame or Queen of Potomac. Like, Giselle, shut the fuck up, because you sound stupid. And Robin, you sound even dumber, because You want to call out Karen for not putting her real life on display when we find out the whole time you've been withholding information about Juan cheating on you. That's what was recently revealed to us. And it's the caucasity for me that you would sit on a platform that pays you and not talk about what's going on in your life other than this fake marriage that you had a fake wedding for. You instead chose to get on your whack ass podcast with your whack ass co host and talk about the fact that, oh, even though I've been pushing the narrative that Karen doesn't have, you know, any realness about her, and then further push the narrative along that Chris Bassett is cheating on Candace with Ashley's help, with Giselle's help. When you had all of that going on, bitch, how did you think that was gonna go over? For us fans, how did you think that would possibly make us feel? Oh, and in addition to that, in order to get the true tea on what really happened, you not only have to get on my podcast and listen to it, but you also have to pay a certain amount of money to hear all the tea with my dusty ass co-star. Co-starless. Shout out to Nene Leakes. Because she was right about one thing. As shady as Nene can be and as, you know, bitter and hateful as Nene can be, she was right about one thing. You and Giselle are no stars. But you decided to get on Reasonably Dusty with your dusty ass co-host and charge people to get the tea that you could have just easily disclosed and made that your storyline this season, bitch? Like, you didn't even choose to talk about it during the reunion. But, oh, apparently Robin and Giselle are really doing stuff out here because Bravo, for one, does not reprimand them for stupid shit like this. They want to lie on camera, not just about themselves, but about their fucking co-workers' husbands. Not just doing it once, but repeatedly. And this is okay. It has to be okay because, you know, not only does Robin get a Watch What Live segment, but she's apparently supposed to get a reunion special talking about this or whatever. So this is what we're doing. We're perpetuating lies and getting rewarded for it. When Kenya fucking Moore just chose not to display her wedding, she instead had her wedding off camera and then gets not only demoted, but basically lowballed. So she'd have no choice but to either accept the demotion or take a year off from Atlanta before coming back just for doing way less. When it comes to stuff like that, I feel like the women should have the choice to either showcase that or not. Like, do y'all not understand how stressful weddings are? how marriages are, and we see how that turned out, and y'all still wanted Kenya to showcase to a toxic ass man that at the end of the day didn't give a fuck about her? How does any of that make sense? Yet Robin gets off scot-free when at the same time she's perpetuated not just a lie about her and Juan, but this lie about Chris. Because she's not stepped in and told Giselle to stop. Sure, in the beginning of the season, she may have, clarified she didn't agree with what Giselle was doing, but bitch, you continue to let the bitch perpetuate the damn lie, and then Ashley actually, I will get to the actual finale, because I want that to be its own little subsection of this live, but you've let Ashley get away with murder when it comes to Chris and Candace. Like, that bad bitch has been all up in their business. And you've done nothing to stop it, but you don't agree with Giselle and where she's coming from when it comes to it. You believe Chris. Bitch, you could have fooled me. You could have fucking fooled me. It makes no sense to me, y'all. I personally just don't feel like, especially with these optics, I don't feel like this was that good of a season. If anything, I'm more exhausted from the season. I'm so ready for Potomac to be off the air. It's pushing, me to feel like how I feel Beverly Hills. Because, of course, I watched that last season. But after the fact, I'm good with them not coming back for a year. Like, if they come back early 2024, I'm okay with that. And I'm starting to feel like the same could happen with Potomac. Because it's not enjoyable. I can't really vibe with this cast and being casted as a friend group. This is not a friend group. How is it a friend group? I want y'all to tell me how it's a friend group when these women find any and every opportunity to tear the other person down. They tear each other down. And y'all think those are friends? Friends tear each other down? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what we're asking for? I don't know. But obviously this stuff in regards to Robin, Karen, who's really real, that started in Mexico and then made its way back to Potomac, and then that led us into the finale. Before that, we did have Robin's Bachelorette, where both Wendy and Karen were not invited. I feel more bothered by the fact that Wendy wasn't invited to yet another thing, because if her and Robin had essentially squashed their beef, and then she still doesn't get invited to Robin's Bachelorette, when we know y'all are cool, what is your problem? And we're not going to use the excuse of, well, you were laughing at me in Mexico. Everyone was laughing, bitch. Robin, are you dumb? Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Like, seriously. Everyone in Mexico was laughing. So the fact that you once again want to nitpick at Wendy and essentially disinvite her to your bachelorette is a problem for me, because the picking and choosing has got to stop on the show. That's why I honestly need something to happen with the Green Eye Bandits. If we can't get rid of both of them, we first, even if she just simply gets a demotion, like if she just gets demoted and maybe pops up here and there, that would still be better than the both of them coming back for another full season as full-time housewives. I need Bravo to get on board with that. Something has got to shake when it comes to those specific two being recasted for another season, because it's just making no sense at this point. I'm tired of picking and choosing. I'm tired of the peanut gallery from both of them. I'm tired of the interjections whenever they feel like it's so necessary to interject when the shit ain't ever got anything to do with y'all's bitch asses. Seriously. And at the end of the day, y'all bring nothing to the fucking show. Giselle has not had any real storyline, and I don't know, probably since season 1, and even then, probably not. And it's so funny because in season 1, I actually liked Giselle. I liked her better than I liked Karen. Oh, how the tables have turned when we're pushing 8 seasons. Robin, it's back and forth. I feel like I've been back and forth on how I really want to feel about Robin. Robin would be more likable if she learned to stand on her own away from Giselle. If she didn't keep playing the shadow of Giselle, she would honestly be more likable. But knowing that she didn't pull this stunt, but wanted to create the tagline of, when it comes to the truth, I always arrive on time. Do ya? Really, bitch? Did you think about that before you came up with it? God, delusion is one hell of a disease. I tell you. Yet, we're all on social media just essentially just going up for Robin. It's kind of, I don't know how to even describe it. It makes no sense to me. But there are definitely no fans of Robin around these parts, at least on my channel. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Robin also doesn't bring anything to the table. She hasn't in several seasons. And then choosing to omit something that would be, hell, very much beneficial to her character, she chooses to omit it until she gets unreasonably dusty, and also throws up a paywall for people to pay for her to give the tea about her and wine. And then further doubles down. I was about to say recanting like she's about to deliver a spell. Reiterate what she essentially said on the podcast. That's what we're not doing. If you think I'm interested in anything else you have to offer to the show after pulling a stunt like that, yeah, you don't know me and you have not watched any of my content. Because one thing we do around these parts is keep it fucking real, and that is not real behavior. There's no way when it comes to the truth you arrive on time. After the fucking reunion has been filmed, This is your version of arriving on time, Robin? And during the finale, just watching the wedding segment of the episode between her and Wine, I mean, it almost made me cringe. And then, of course, after they wanted to put a little message about, oh, 5 months after the fact, it was revealed that Juan cheated before the marriage. Robin, get out of my fucking face and take Juan with you. I'm fine if, and that's if Bravo actually does something about this. I'm fine with not seeing Robin and Juan for some time. Go take care of Carter and Corey. Go take care of them. They need y'all more than we need y'all. And that's just all it is to it. I can't. I can't. It just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. But I actually think I'm going to, in this particular live, I'm going to get back on and finish up my thoughts about Potomac and just how it's making me feel as a Housewives fan. But I do want to take a little break and then I will hop back on here after that. So y'all just stick around and we'll be back.